Alrighty, so let's go ahead and just start off with, for some who may not be familiar with ConnectSMART, and this is kind of your first view, wanted to go into just the basic way that you get around inside of ConnectSMART and how to build a basic dashboard. So I want to do kind of an introduction to the ConnectSMART product. So when you open up the ConnectSMART Creator for Power Gadgets, it opens you up with this screen here, which is the designer. And this is where really all the magic takes place with ConnectSMART, where you have the ability to build and configure your dashboards for your end users to be able to use. So we're going to start there. Let's go ahead and just start off with let's talk about a particular adding a gadget. So if you simply double click on a gadget, it's going to go ahead and add it to your panel here for your slide where you're going to modify and actually configure your gadget. You'll notice if you have a right click, you also have a help option where we've added into the latest version the ability to have help on each individual gadget to where you can get specific detail that actually launches you out to the documentation on the website for each individual gadget. So but once we add a gadget onto the slide, now we have the ability to configure the different elements of the gadget. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and edit the parameters, and you can see, if you're familiar with ConnectSMART already, that there's a lot more parameters on some of these gadgets than in some of the on the premise side, and you'll see that you have a lot of different options here. So in this case, I just want to go ahead and pick a particular service board. I'm going to put in a service board that I want to monitor. And I'm just going to go ahead and look at my ConnectCare, which is our managed services board. So I'm going to, with just making this single change here, I've gone ahead and saved my gadget, or I've got my gadget. I'm going to go ahead and run it so we can see that gadget running by itself here. So now I have just created the parameters for the gadget. I can add more information into it. I'll just kind of show you really quickly. We can add in titles, and I can also add in additional gadgets. So let's say I want to put a couple of them together to actually create a dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and pick my tickets past due. Now, since I already have added in a gadget onto a slide, I get presented with this screen, which is going to allow me to create and have the opportunity to either share a parameter or have differing parameters. And I'm just going to call this past due as the name of this gadget so I can keep track of the parameters. Go ahead and click OK. And now I can determine, do I want these to be existing parameters, or am I going to have them to operate independently? I'm going to go ahead and keep these together, so the change that I made for the service board applies to both gadgets. All right, so now I have two gadgets that are together, and I'm going to go ahead and just save this out, and I'm going to put this into my desktop. I'll create a folder for it. And this is my test one. So I've saved that gadget out. If I go back to now onto my desktop, minimize this stuff out of the way, and I go to my folder that I just created, I can double click on that gadget, and now you can see that gadget is running right there. I've got a dashboard that's been created. So it's as simple as that to create a new dashboard. I want to go ahead and point out just a couple little things as well. We also have the ability, one of my favorites, I always like to change my borders, and I usually use a 16, but you have lots of different options where you can select how you want it to look and feel, your colors, your sizes, all that kind of good stuff. And I always want to make sure that this is actually transparent here. Smooth this out of the way.
One thing you might want to add, Dan, is that I personally have taken advantage of this, is that you can even change a background picture. Does that apply to this one also?
Yeah, absolutely. That is another thing that you can do, is go ahead and putting in we found actually a lot of our people like to change these around, and instead of just having a number with text on it, it says what their their title of the gadget, then they'll go ahead and import an image. So you can see here if I was to go ahead and add an image, I'm going to go ahead and let's see here, I can go ahead and select the image that I want. And let's just go over here to, got some icons here. I'm just going to go ahead and pick a hosted, let's grab that. And so you can see I added that to the background of that image. And I'll just go ahead and move this here. All right, so I've gone ahead and created my gadget. I'm going to go ahead and save that again. I'm just going to overwrite that existing one. And so now I will go ahead and rerun that gadget. All right, so that's how you go ahead and create a gadget.
Excellent. So before we move on, does anybody have any questions about what he just demonstrated? Don't be afraid to raise your hands. All right, so we're going to move on, and I really, for me and for everybody else, if you can clarify, what's the hype? What's new in this version that's just come out?
So there's a couple things. First off is this is the first version that is specifically for, we've labeled it for hosted. It is available for the ConnectWise hosted environment. So if you do not have an on-premise server, you can take advantage of this version of ConnectSMART. This is the first time that that's been available. And what that means is it is using only the API and accessing their information through the web interface, or through their web API. And even though this is called the hosted version, this also works on a premise system. We are a premise customer, and so I'm using the API to access this information. So that's one element, is simply the platform that's available. In addition to that, I had briefly pointed out at the beginning that there's a lot more parameters. So the parameters are really how we filter and get down to the meat of, what is that piece of data that's in ConnectWise that I want to pull out and put in front of everybody so we can take action, we can make something happen with it. And the parameters are where that's going to take, we're going to be able to do that. So whether it was like in the example where I said I wanted the particular service board, it was a count of tickets on a service board. I also have items like the site name that's been added in. You have the urgency. You have service location. So if you want a count of on-site tickets versus a count of remote tickets, that's one of those metrics that you're looking at. You can do that. I mentioned the site name. We have a couple large clients where we need to keep track of counts of tickets at a particular site, not just a company name. Also, you have your, we've added in the subtypes. So you have not only the service type, but you have your subtype and your sub-items. So again, you can see that information for those types, subtypes, and teams has been a big request that a lot of people have asked for. So lots of new parameters have been added in that allow us to to be able to drill down and to have a good idea of more information that we can pull. I want to also show one thing here. I go ahead and run this gadget. One of the other things that I didn't show for those of you who are new to ConnectSMART is part of the power is not just displaying a number, putting in your titles that says, I have 5 tickets that are past due. But when you double click on it, it also gives you the ability to drill down. So that is very, very powerful. We've expanded out all the information that's in the drill down. So you'll see that there's, if you're an existing partner, you'll see that there's a lot of additional information that's been added into the drill down. So you really have access to pretty much everything. And if you're not familiar with it, you can see this is the grid that we drilled down to in a ticket. And I can go ahead and grab any of these elements, and you can see I can grab it and drag it to, there's 2 ConnectSMART tickets that are past due. If I was to go ahead and grab one of these as well, it takes you full circle. So by clicking on it, it takes you then into that ticket in ConnectWise to be able to handle that particular issue. So again, ConnectSMART's not just showing you that you have a problem or showing you something that you need to focus on, but then it's giving you the ability to do something about it, and that's really, really important.
That's great, Dan. So tell me something about the campaign category. What's it gain? What's it gain, and what didn't they have before? How does it compare to the product before?
Well, that actually is something that is brand new in the hosted version, and again, is also available for people who are on-premise, but that is the marketing elements. And this is something that we're pretty excited about. It is something that's not very visible anywhere inside of ConnectWise to be able to deal with very well. So if you are leveraging and taking advantage of the campaigns and the marketing campaigns inside of ConnectWise, then this will really give you the ability to work with it. So I have some sample stuff in here for obvious reasons, but as an example, if I look at my costs of campaigns, I have the ability to determine all of my different campaigns that I might be running, and I can go ahead and put in what my cost is for each one of those campaigns. And again, the same way that we had looked at before, we just kind of break this down and look at, I'll just put in some ConnectSMART campaigns, and so you can see the campaigns that I have defined. I can keep track of what my costs are for each campaign. In addition to my costs, I also have my opportunities, my ROI, the total sales, and then the complete performance. I'll go ahead and just pick one more here just to give you an example. In this case, it's looking at my all my campaigns that I have currently running. Again, I'm going to just go ahead and limit this by a particular campaign type. And we have a lot of different items that we can take advantage of in this particular one. So I'm going to show, if I expand out here my series, you can see we actually have 9 different elements that can be plotted here. So I'm going to get rid of, actually I'll go ahead and leave those on here, but you can see I can be plotting your cost, your actual cost, the total opportunities, so your count of opportunities, your won opportunities, won revenue. If you want to track lost opportunities, lost revenue, and then of course the ones that are currently open, and then your ROI, which becomes very important to be able to see what is that ROI that you're putting, you're putting money into campaigns. Are you above the line? Are you at the zero line, so zero ROI if you don't have all of your information in, or are you, above the line on your return on investment for your marketing campaigns? So it's very exciting for us to be able to have that ability now for both hosted as well as for premise.
Excellent. So tell me about the pricing, new users versus the existing. How does it differ, and how would ConnectWise hosted leverage into their plan?
Sure. So for new customers who are hosted clients who are getting the hosted platform, this is $99 a month. So it is a little bit less expensive than the premise version at this point, because it doesn't have as many of the additional options that you have in the premise, or the number of gadgets at this point. So we do have an introductory price right now of $99 a month. And for existing customers, if you have maybe a Lab Tech or Kaseya already, this can be added on as a flat $100 a month. Now, the special news is, of course, if you're a gold, if you're a gold member, or have already been a gold client, then that's actually included in your existing subscription. So there's no additional charge for the hosted component or the new gadgets that we've created and the new options that you have in the premise version. If you are silver, if you're one of the silver ones, as I've mentioned, or one of the other platforms, then it can be added on for $100 a month. And if you're silver, then also you should just be gold, and you get it for free. So it's pretty simple there. It's a great value for everyone.
Well, why don't you go ahead and show them the URL for them to upgrade if they're interested?
Well, all they have to do actually is simply go to the website. If you're an existing customer, you can log into, let's see if I have ConnectSMART open here. Let's go to the website. So you would go ahead and log into the website and go into, actually you have to be logged in and go to your downloads, and you'll be able to download the latest version, which we'll be posting shortly, which will have all of these new features involved with it.
Okay, and do you have anything to add about the new parameters and the changes to the parameters before we wrap up the webinar?
There is actually one thing, and this is particularly important to existing customers. If you're on one of the gold package or if you're on the premise version and you're adding this into your existing system, we no longer have to have quote marks on these particular parameters. So if you notice here, when I go into edit the parameters, then I don't have to put in, I'm simply typing in the item that I'm looking for and not putting in a quote mark around it. That is a change from the premise version and some of the older versions, as we're going to be backwards updating that, so you don't have to worry about quote marks. But for sure in this new version you don't have to worry about it. If you are mixing and matching between, maybe one of the old ones, whether it's a LabTech or TigerPaw, ConnectWise for premise, then you would have to have quotes on the old or on the existing ones, just not on the new ones. So really it kind of gives you, hopefully that gives you in our 20 minutes that we promised, kind of a brief view at what's been added in here into ConnectSMART, what's available now for the cloud customers, as well as what's been added on for anyone who's on premise.
Okay, well, before we wrap it up, I would like to open the forum for anybody to have questions. Do you guys want to type in your questions? Now's the time. Everybody wake up. All right, doesn't look like anybody has any questions. I'll be contacting all of you shortly to follow up with you and see if you have anything to follow up with.
I think, actually, hold on one second. I believe Catherine did have a question. Catherine, did you have a question? Oh, she raised her hand. I guess not. Looks like she's typing it here. The question was, when will it be available? It was actually supposed to have already been put up there. We actually had a problem in the licensing component as far as getting that up onto the website and being able to be handled appropriately. Hopefully we'll have that worked out today. So we're looking at getting this updated today or tomorrow, but we will be sending out an email to all existing customers as well with adding in that URL and so that everybody can download that and apply it into their system. All right. If there are no other questions, we thank you very much for your time today. We will be posting this recording up on the website, so anybody, you can come back to it if you have any other questions. Feel free to get in touch with us, and
hey Dan,
following up with each of you.
I also wanted to mention that we've got another webinar next week that'll be covering the lab tech component of it.
Yes.
So for anyone who wants to sign up for that, we're probably going to demo some of the new versions features as well. But that's a good thing to sign up for if this was of interest to you.
Excellent.
Does anybody else have questions before we let you go? I don't see anybody's hands up.
All right.
All right. Thank you
well,
for
again,
joining
thank you
us
very
today.
much. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.